They're eating fish, they're eating waterfowl like ducks and things like that. But in the winter, when those rivers and lakes have frozen over, or let's say normal winter, her whole diet changes. She turns into a scavenger. And she mainly scavenges on deer carcasses. Well, what we found at the Raptor Center, and what also happened to her, is when she came in, not only had she been hit by a car, but she was suffering from lead poisoning. Lead, being a neurotoxin, is very toxic to these birds, so it has powerful impacts at very low levels. Any bird that comes to the Raptor Center with 0.2 parts per million of lead in their blood is considered to have lead poisoning. At 1 part per million, that bird would probably die. That rate is very, very, very low with birds over 1 part per million. Now the question is, well, where is this lead coming from? What we've noticed year after year for the past 40 years, in the summer, bald eagles don't really come in with lead poisoning. They're almost near zero. Then in November, there's a spike, and then in December, it starts to fade down. It's hot up here, so this feels quite good. There we go. Okay. So, in December, those levels start to drop down to the very high, average over 1 part per million. And same for the early spring. And then in the thaw, after the thaw, it dips down and makes almost nothing during the summer. And we've seen that same trend year after year after year for the past 40 years that we've been having bald eagles come to Raptor Center. In fact, it's so prevalent, every single bald eagle we receive, we test for lead. Last year, 2012, 117 injured bald eagles came to the Raptor Center, of which 44 of them were suffering from lead poisoning as a primary or secondary cause of their fitness. That's 38%. Where's the lead coming from? It directly correlates with hunting in November. The thing is, a lead bullet, when it hits a deer, leaves little fragments behind. Those little fragments, when they're ingested by an eagle scavenging on a gut pile, or maybe scavenging on a deer that was hit and then died later, gets into a bird that only weighs 11 pounds. That's how much she weighs. She has a very high metabolism. That lead in her stomach acids are actually stronger than ours, which dissolves the lead quicker and gets it into her blood vessels. And because it's a neurotoxin, it has toxic effects very quickly. So one of the things we can do to help bald eagles, if we're hunters, and even if we're fishermen, if we can use alternatives to lead, like copper or steel or fishing, will have a huge positive impact on bald eagles today. Now, some people ask, well, is it hurting their population? As you guys have seen, population trends have been going up and up and up. What we can tell by these birds coming to the Raptor Center is there's a large population of them that are suffering from lead toxicity. And here's the problem. The damage it does is permanent. You can't undo it. And the damage it does, oftentimes when these birds do die, is because of suffocation. Their lung function just stops working and they can't do it anymore. So it actually is a quite horrible way to go. And it takes a couple of days. It's not immediate. So you can use an alternative to lead. Huge positive impact on bald eagles. But we've seen the same thing with other raptor species around the country. California condor. 2009, 3 of them died in 1 week by feeding on an animal that had been shot with a lead bullet. That was 1% of the entire population. Bigger problem out in California because those animals are critically endangered. One last thing I want to leave you with before you guys go. Do you guys see how close her beak is to my face? A lot of times when my arm starts to get tired because she is heavy, people ask, am I worried she's going to bite me? And the answer is, I'm not. There's no way I'd ever be this close to my face if I was worried. The reason I'm not, one, they go after their food with their feet. That's their main weapon. That's their tool. Second, their eyes are vulnerable, so they're very protective of their face. And I'm a big predator with big teeth. And if she tries to bite me, I could try biting her back. And if that injures her eyes, forget it. She knows she's not going to survive. One other reason I don't worry about her biting me is because of our training, she's learned that I'm something that she can trust. I'm a perch for her to stand on. And more importantly, I'm not something she needs to be worried about. And because she's not worried about me, do you notice? I'm ignoring her. That's just the way it goes. This is what a bald eagle would look like up in the wild if you were looking at it with your binoculars. Because up there, they're not afraid of people because they have that nice distance and they're way above us. But here, when she's at our level, it's very different. I hope you guys have a great time. I hope the eagle watching out there is going to be fantastic. Also, you guys are going to get to see maybe 3 or 4 bald eagles being released, which is a pretty phenomenal thing to see. If you can give me 1 minute to get her back in her crate, then I'll send you guys on your way. We'll finish up here.
While Mike is putting the bird back into the crate,